Monday, which every single Monday or as many Mondays as we possibly can. How many Mondays are there even in a year? There's 52 weeks. There's got to be 52 Mondays, bro. Did I just like do math right now somehow, some way? Did I just like come up with that? Unless there was like a 7 days of the week that we happen to skip one day.
You
But
should go to Vegas and start counting cards, dude,
I
bro.
think I'm actually going to do that like tomorrow, bro. I'm going to go to Vegas tomorrow and I'm going to start counting cards. And whoever shows up there with me might get a little piece of the action. But I'm super excited that you guys are here. I hope this is live on freaking Facebook. I don't know if it is, but I'm trying to make it go live. And I think it is. But if not, if you guys are on, what is that thing called? YouTube, you should be live on YouTube. But anyway, Dunn and I are excited to be here. We're super stoked. We have a really cool, fun packed conversation today about finding leads. This is a topic that so many people talk about. Don, I'm going to pass the mic off to you, brother. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Dun De La Cruz. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us. I am Dun De La Cruz, coach inside AirVenture Academy, father of five, MTR specialist. I used to work in the trades and construction. Now I run a corporate housing company nationwide. But
Super
real quick
freaking.
before we jump in, guys, was something I said last week, and I want to continue this on. If you guys are getting any value from this, Jesse and I, we spend a lot of time on this for you guys, and we're extremely grateful that if you guys are getting value. So let's continue that momentum and follow the standard for Midterm Monday, which is very simple, guys. Show up for yourselves, ask questions, drop those questions in the Facebook group if you have to. We got a couple actually that we might go over. And finally, send this to someone who needs that extra push so they can stop waiting and start building.
Look at that. Dunn's got this like professional little intro right there, you guys. He's just like freaking spitting it out like freaking butter. Butter on some toast. I love it, man. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, dude. I think share this with people that you guys know that are getting in the midterm rental space that are looking to build. Like we give this information for free. We show up for you guys. This has nothing to do with us other than us just sharing knowledge that we've been able to learn over the last decade of being in the space. And actually collectively between Dunn and I, there's like literally 15 years of midterm rental experience. And one of the cool things about midterm rentals too, you guys, is that we teach these concepts to a lot of people, and once you learn them, you get to adapt your own principle and your own way of doing it. I think that's what's pretty freaking awesome about being in this community and all that stuff. So what's up, Marco? I see Cam's on here right now too. Marco and Cam, I think, is one of our students, and Cam just landed in the newspaper of his city. He's a corporate housing provider in a city. He was featured in the newspaper. Cam, freaking awesome, bro. I'm super
Dude.
stoked for you to get exposure like that. And at the end of the day, you guys, we're going to be talking about some really important things. And marketing is a massive, massive piece of the puzzle. If nobody knows who you are, then guess what? Nobody knows who you are. And that's the problem, right? We got to make sure that you guys get out in front of people. And that's the difference between short term and midterm is we're actually creating a business. We're not just listing on Airbnb platforms. We're actually creating opportunities for ourselves. And that is actually having to list yourself and on these certain areas and getting visibility, which is marketing at the end of the day. And I think that's just I think it's a really, really good place to be. You got to make sure that you position yourself to win in this space. And that's absolutely one of the things that you have to do, right, Dunn?
Yep, for sure, no doubt. The mouth, I say this all the time, the mouth that don't speak, don't eat. It's the same thing as the marketing. If no one knows you exist, no one knows you exist.
Yep. Yeah. I want to go, I want to jump into this real quick. How many of you right now that are watching this are actually sitting on a furnished rental right now with no tenant lined up? There's probably some of you watching this right now that are paying attention to what I just said, because that's probably you. And if so, today I'm going to show you exactly how you can land midterm rental leads. Both Dunn and I are going to go into this. And even if your market seems dead, I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, where they don't realize that there is actually a ton of opportunity. It's probably sitting in your freaking backyard. So we want to help you get those units booked. We know what it takes. We know what type of work needs to be put into that. But whether you got a unit sitting alone, vacant, or you're trying to break into midterm rentals today, we're going to kind of lock in this blueprint that I'd actually use today if I was starting literally today. Like that's exactly what I would be doing. I'm going to break this down real quick because I think there's some lead source framework. I think a lot of people need to understand this. There's outbound leads, there's inbound leads, and there's also partnerships, which can actually drive referrals. And those are the three kind of big important pieces of framework that it comes to when it comes to actually building a midterm rental business, right? So there's 3 buckets for lead sources. And I think, Dunn, I want to kind of go through these somewhat fairly quick, but also I want to make sure that we layer these. Can you explain to me, Dunn, what an inbound lead is in the 3 buckets of mid-tier lead sources? So you guys keep this in mind. There's 3 buckets, you guys: inbound, outbound, and partnerships. Those are the 3 that you need to be focusing on as you're getting in the midterm rental business. So, Dunn, what is an inbound lead, brother?
Yeah, inbound is you have your marketing set up. That's a lead coming in from Airbnb, possibly. If you went the extra mile and got your own website and started doing Google Ads, or maybe even on Furnished Finder, where you would have a match lead. That's a direct, exactly type of home that you need. They're looking for meets your home. So that'd be inbound coming to you.
Yep, I love that, you guys. So that's just like listing on the platforms, doing all the things. And then you got to outbound. This is the one that everybody screws up on, that a lot of people don't want to do because it's freaking hard. And you get rejected like a mofo, and that is not fun. So I'm going to tell you guys about Outbound. These are where you pick up the phone. I got an iPhone 7. I'm calling somebody and I'm saying, hey, Dunn, my name's Jesse. I saw that you guys have a work truck out in front of the extended stay hotel. You have plates from Louisiana. I am a solutions provider specifically for companies that work just like yours. That is where I'm actually sending cold emails. I'm sending cold outbound calls. I am literally connecting with people. I'm driving and actually finding these resources. And those are outbound calls. So don't mix the 2 up. You have inbound, which is coming to you directly. That's like a little gold nugget that lands right in your lap. And then you have outbound leads. And this is where the midterm rental folks go to die. Like, this is where they get stuck, because outbound is you actually having to be like a wholesaler, picking up the phone, getting rejected, running into that space where it's difficult. And that's exactly what you need to do. Tanisha, what's up? We got Tanisha in here too. I wish I knew how to bring you into this freaking call, Tanisha. It'd be fun to talk about this stuff with you too. How do we? I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how
Let
to
me
do.
try to do it. I'll try to do it.
Yeah, try to see if you can do it. So we have inbound, outbound. So if you guys understand outbound, it makes sense to you already. And then we also have referral. Dunn, you want to talk about referral? What that's like to do referrals, what the referral setup is, or the outbound or partnerships? I'm sorry. So 3 buckets again: MTR leads, inbound,
Yeah.
outbound, and partnerships.
Yeah. So if Jesse is my neighbor down the street, typically in STR, most folks is like against each other, right? And you'll hear us say that a lot in MTR, that it's all about collaborating. So if Jesse's down the street and one of my best friends, one of my agents or recruiters, travel recruiters, contacts me and says, hey, we got another travel nurse coming into town, but my units is booked. That's another time where opportunities die, because most people will say, yep, my unit's booked. Sorry. Click. They're no longer nurturing that relationship. But since Jesse down the street is an operator and he's my friend now, that's when I'll alley oop the lead to him and he'll be able to serve my client. And then we'll negotiate or come to an agreement of what my payout would be for referring a renter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So they're partnerships. They could be, you guys can make friends on the Facebook group. I know every time I do a midterm rental live, people chat in the chat box. Whenever I do a webinar, people are chatting in the chat box. That's exactly what Dunn is saying. We're actually, one person is doing an inbound or an outbound lead. They're getting it and they're now passing that referral off to somebody else. So that's one of the best ways to, uh, you know, get leads and to continue to build on them and continue to build momentum with them. And just so you guys know, before I get too further into this, momentum is literally everything in the midterm rental space. Like, when you first get your property listing, you're getting it ready to go, you're actually bringing momentum into your space. You're actually bringing in favor of you. A lot of times people will put together these platforms. They'll wait to get on the platform. They'll get a property together. They're not really running it quickly. They're not looking at where the sources are. In fact, I have a lot of people that I talk to that say, I have a property that's coming live in August 15th. Guess what? List it freaking now. You're creating momentum for yourself when you list a property today, even though it's not ready yet. You might be able to just put a picture of the front of the house or a door and say coming soon with all the things that are going to be in there. That's what you guys need to do. Don't wait. There's not a perfect time. So I wanted to dissect these all done. This is going to be one of the biggest, like, kind of really, this should have actually been a YouTube video, but I actually like it better because you and I can discuss this in person. So we're going to be breaking down those 3 buckets of lead sources with inbound, outbound, and partnerships, and where you could find all those specific things. And I think it's really important that we pay attention to these. If you're not showing up for where people are searching, you don't even actually exist. Like, you have to remember that as you guys are starting to build in the space. So the Airbnb strategy, which a lot of you may be doing now, this is how you start to get leads this way, you guys. And I know Airbnb has new restrictions and new regulations where they're saying they don't want you to connect with people off platform, that it's you can get fined and you can get banned and you can do all these things. Keep that in mind as I'm talking about these things in as I'm continuing to have conversation about this. Okay. Airbnb strategy. You're going to make sure that you're optimizing your titles. Too many of you guys have, including myself at one point, have a listing that says boho oasis, beautiful property, blah blah. Freaking, I'm passing that up. Like nobody cares in the midterm rental space if you have a boho bohemian rapture or getaway, freaking end of the days, whatever that title. Like nobody cares about that, you guys. And he's to literally be speaking specifically to the type of client that you're serving. Really important. Done right? Am I right on that? You guys
100%.
you guys, there's a massive difference between a midterm rental guest and a short-term rental guest. They do not share the same. They do not. Did I not share? They don't share the same mindset. It's not the same type of traveler, you guys. They're looking for. In fact, I would have something that says 3 miles away from Doctor's Medical Center, close to the freeway, sleep 6. Like you don't have to get crazy with these like themes and these ideas. You just have to make sure that you're optimizing your title. Do you have 30-day plus discounts? Done. You do these. Like I do this too, you guys. What are the tactics for lead generation on these? I would be putting on there 10%, 15%. When people book 30 days or more, they're actually looking for that because they're putting those days in the calendar. Really important. Photo positioning, booking settings. Do you have instant book on? Do you have, is your first 10 photos where somebody that's traveling, what they would want to do? If I'm a construction worker, then listen, you were a construction worker. If you're staying at a property and your goal is to serve construction worker clients, what are like 3 things that you'd want to have in a property that you would stay in?
For sure, boot dryers. For sure, parking. People forget about parking. They
Yeah.
got to work, or they have work trucks. And I would say the last one would be a swimming pool, man. Now that's a personal thing
No.
because
That's
yeah,
good.
you got to think. You got to think. These guys, we're on the road for like 3 months, 6 months, not seeing our family, and usually we're in motels, not even hotels, like motels. So if we're able to cut them a deal, the whole crew staying in a home and it has a swimming pool, the barbecue, just a real guy's pad, um, that would definitely attract for sure because staying in a motel, no bueno.
Yeah. So if that's what a construction worker is looking for, guess what your first 10 photos should show in there? Boot dryer. I've never even heard of a boot dryer, but yeah, like that's what I mean, you guys. Like these are like inbound lead gen tactics that you're wanting to do. Photo positioning, 30-day discounts, booking settings. What does that look like? Furnished Finder, response rate. Like how quick are you actually responding to somebody that sends a housing request? Super important. I talk to so many people that actually get leads from Furnished Finder and they take a day to respond back. Guess what? A contractor or somebody who's traveling, somewhere they're gonna send messages to like 5, 6, 7, 8 different people. If I'm lacking on my response, guess what's happening? Probably not. I'm probably not going to get my place booked because I'm not acting quick enough. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're paying attention to those things. You're actually starting conversations. You're talking about where these folks are going, what they're doing, how long are they on assignment. You're talking to them about what your property, how long they're wanting to be there, the amenities that are there. You're just trying to create some context to like actually having conversations. Massively important, you guys.
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing is that you want to get your listing in front of people before you're actually before you're desperate. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like if your place is not up yet, it's not ready yet, freaking get up there. Like get out there and use it. Get out there and start putting your property up. I think that's really, really going to be massively important. And those are pretty simple tricks for the big kind of operation systems like Airbnb, VRBO, booking.com, like be on all platforms, right, Dunn?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So I want to deep dive into Outbound now. If you if you actually wanted to fill your unit in 7 days with no leads, Outbound is the move. Like this is where 99% of people just get into the game and they want to get their place booked. You guys, Outbound is the way to do it. So what does that actually look like? We want to talk about that, Dunn?
Can before we dive into this, like I want to mention a part where most beginners get stuck, right? Because we'll tell them lead gen, outbound, start calling the hospitals, the companies nearby, and they only have one unit. So this is usually what happens. They'll get their unit booked. They've worked on it for months and finally launched and they got it booked. They'll kick their feet up. They'll stop the outbound. They'll stop the lead gen getting too comfortable. And then months come in, they're ready to come out and now they're worried. But then they'll always say like, done, I only have one property. Why am I going to do an outbound to construction to a travel nurse when I already have a travel nurse and I have nowhere to place them? That's where they get stuck. And like I mentioned earlier, Jesse's my friend down the street, the operator down the street. I've befriended him. I got to know him. We probably went, got coffee or something. So collaborate with the folks around you. So it makes sense when you lead gen, you can actually serve them, because that's the last thing we want to do is lead gen, position our company as like, we're the MTR specialists in this neighborhood, but we don't have anything to provide. So start collaborating. You don't have to get stuck even if you have one property.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people think you need to have a billion properties. I think it makes it easier when you do, but you absolutely do not, as long as you're connected with your market and the folks that you're connected to in your own space. So on Outbound, you guys, this is where most people will lose in the midterm rental game. This is 90% of the actual game, is this right here. Cold DMs of travel nurses on Facebook, reaching out to LinkedIn, relocation specialists, sending DMs and actually having a conversation with a relocation specialist about what you do and how you can actually help them. Not because you want to make money, but because how you can actually provide a service for these companies that are actually going to do something for you. I think too many people see these $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 bookings and they're like, I want to do that. Do you want money, or do you actually really want to serve a community? And the community, I mean, is your own community, the people that come in your background. You have to make sure that you're asking yourself, because if you're chasing money, these companies are not going to want to work with you. They're going to sniff it out that fast, and they're going to realize that you're just there for a dollar amount, not to actually serve. Biggest, most important piece of the puzzle. You need to make sure that you guys are asking yourself that, especially if you're going to start sending messages out to companies and folks on LinkedIn. You got to be very thoughtful about that. This is not a get rich quick business. This is not the type of business that you can turn around and what I'm trying to say is that you're going to be sniffed out really quick if you're just chasing money. And I get it. Everybody loves money. I love money. Dun's middle name is Money. Dun Money de la Cruz is actually his name, you guys, if you didn't know that.
It is kind of.
So like, it's really important to think about that. Really wanted to make sure I laid that out for you guys. So cold DMs, travel nurses, go into Facebook groups. There's travel nurse groups and Facebook groups. Like, create one if you don't have one in your market. Like, literally start to make those. There's DMs that are going to come on there. There's people that are looking for housing there. LinkedIn, searching relocation specialists, recruiters for certain companies, contacting local hospitals and HR departments. Yes, even LinkedIn messages work. But again, am I creating a business to have a service for other people? You have to make sure you're thinking about those things. I think it's really, really important that people do that. I've even seen people direct message folks on travel nursing groups and asking about housing there. Like, people have landed deals like that as well. I've literally saw somebody that just did this, and literally their message. And if I say literally one more time, I swear I'm gonna delete myself on this. Literally, oh my gosh, I did it. Can you believe that? I just said literally again. Like, I gotta stop.
You just start disappearing like Avengers. Like, what's happening?
So basically, the message said this: Hey, I saw that you're heading. This was in Seattle. Hey, I saw that you're heading into Seattle for work. I've got a clean, quiet 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 5 minutes from a hospital, fully furnished, includes Wi-Fi's, utilities. Do you want pictures? Literally a conversation. God dang it! I said literally again. That conversation, that conversation started right after that. That's somebody just literally. Gosh, I said it again. Sent a note out, you guys.
I'm gonna put a counter, guys.
Yeah, every time I say it now, we're putting what are you
$1.
$1? Okay, we'll do $1. $1 into a bucket, and we're going to donate that to the money drive for Done. But that's how it starts, you guys. You don't have to get crazy. You don't need to have like all these people that you need to be connected. What I would do is I would just focus on a mini challenge, and this is for every single one of you guys out there. Pick 5 travel professionals today and just send a simple message, like in one of those conversations. Like, literally, don't pitch. Do not pitch. Don't sell anything. I just saw that you're heading to this city for work. I've got a clean 2-bedroom, 2-bath, midterm furnished housing, 5 minutes from this hospital, fully furnished, including utilities, with a washer and a dryer and maybe some boot dryers if Dunn decides to do that. And just start conversation. Like, that's what's important. You're not selling anything to them, mate. You're just figuring some things out. I think that's really important to do. And if you guys can like reframe the selling part to just having conversations, because I think a lot of times people think of sales and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm a school teacher. I can't sell anything. Like, I don't know how to sell. I don't want to sell. The reality is we're selling every single day, whether we want to believe it or not. But if you just reframe that conversation and you're just like, I'm just going to have a conversation with somebody else, or I'm not pitching them. I'm almost said it again. I almost said the LITTAR, whatever that word, have you spell it again, but I didn't. Caught myself, you guys. Please give me a high five. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, that's how you guys got to do it. Just simplify it. You're sending a message. You're starting conversations. You're not pitching. Done. Am I talking
That's
about this
it.
right?
That's really it. You're just asking questions on how, when, how often do they come into town? What is the project for? How long is the project? Those are the questions we're asking, the qualifying question. Why are we asking all those questions about them? Because it is about them. The moment, and I'll leave with this, the moment you start making it about you, the money part that Jesse highlighted, they can hear that. That's when the gap starts to happen, right? So the reason we're asking these questions is so we know if we could serve them. We know how to position ourselves, our units, as a service instead of saying, hey, I got a new home, new furniture, everything is quality. They don't care. So
Yeah.
ask questions. Yep.
Replace the word I. A lot of us say, I have this, I have that, I have this, I have a property. Ask them questions about them. Hey, I see that you're coming in on assignment. Like, where's your job? Where's your first place at? Where's your first assignment? We have, if you ever end up getting into conversation, we have, because you're a collective, you work as a group, we have a community. It's not I. So you replace that. I think that's a really important conversation in these things as well. And I've noticed over the last, I don't know, several years that kind of reframing changes a lot of things, not only for the person you're talking to, but also for yourself. I think a lot of us will pitch our properties in a way that I have this or I have these. They don't care about I. Like, they want to know how you're actually going to be able to serve them and what services you're actually bringing to them. And a service could be something, it doesn't necessarily need to be, it's not a chef. It doesn't need to be like a masseuse that shows up at your house like Airbnb has going on now. It just needs to be like you're providing a opportunity for these companies to have an easier stay because you already know how it works. You understand the
Mhm.
game. You understand what kind of level of comfort they need. You understand what level of Wi-Fi they need if they're digital nomads. You understand that they need blackout curtains, and
Yeah.
if they're travel nurses and you might have a property that's on a busy road and you have white noise machines in the
Yep.
bedrooms. Those are all simple things that, like, a nurse is like, oh my damn, like, Dunn's actually thinking about me. I'm actually the person on assignment. I've never thought about these things, or I do think about these things. And usually the guests, the owners of these properties don't. And you are. Like, that's the conversation. Like, that's how you start conversations with things like that. Things like that.
One thing that I get real quick, Jesse, is like, they'll ask, but what if they ask me, what if I call, relocation specialist or the HR person and they go, why are you asking me all these questions? That's usually like one of the reasons why most folks they don't start the lead gen. They don't pick up because they don't want to be faced with that question. Why are you asking me all these questions? When is our project? How many travelers can you expect in the next 6 months? So people are really feel weird about that. What would be like just like a simple response back to that, objection or that wall that they feel when they're trying to lead gen and then the HR person asks them, why are you asking so many questions, Jesse?
Yeah, that's my favorite question you've ever asked me ever in my entire life, Dunn. I just want to make sure that we everybody recognizes that. Why are you asking me? Why are you asking me? Why you're asking me so many questions?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking so many questions is because I want to learn how your business operates so I could better serve you and your community and the people that you're working with. My goal is to make sure that I maintain a relationship that is not based around me, but is actually the needs of your company. That's exactly why I'm here. I want to have a dotted line approach from you to your client. You guys, that's it. Done. Was that
Beautiful.
good?
That's what I wanted to hear. That was so beautiful.
It's like, I love that. It's like a pizza. Yeah, you guys. So I just you got to take yourselves out of the equation. It's how do I actually serve? You're coming from a servitude mindset. It's customer service. You're actually creating something for someone and you're selling that service, which is you being of service to the companies that you're working for. Because at the end of the day, you are working for them. They're not working for you. And I think that's something you absolutely have to make sure you're thinking about. And I can't even believe that I'm having to say these things, but I talk to people so often that I realize that not everybody actually truly understands what we're doing. We're a service-based company. We're providing services, so we have to serve. Very, very important to not forget that. That's one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, in my opinion. Done. Any final thoughts on that before we move on to freaking the other part?
Ask qualifying questions, and you'll get better with asking those questions as you move along, because you'll identify needs based on whatever questions you ask, and then you could 2.0 your script, right, for the next person that you call. But you really won't know until you do it. So it's not about being perfect; it's about movement. Move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I totally agree with that. So, you guys, going back to the original key principles of deep diving in outbound messages is cold DMs, right? Travel nurse Facebook groups, LinkedIn, relocation specialists, recruiters, contact local hospitals, HR departments, even LinkedIn messages are going to work. You guys can do stuff like that. There's even, what I've even seen too, dude? I just did this recently. You guys ever heard of Craigslist? Like people actually still use that. I'll reverse engineer and actually find potential temporary tenants on Craigslist, like companies that are searching for new folks that are coming into a market that are like applying, they're hiring for technicians. Like people still do that. These old school kind of like mentality, people will still post on Craigslist. Those are actually the people that I want because they stay in hotels. Those people are like old school where they're literally staying in hotels. I love that kind of stuff. So I'll reach out and I'll be able to say, hey, we have housing. Where are you guys going? Where are you staying? What's the market? What's, how much you guys paying a night? They're staying at the Holiday Inn Express, paying $100 a night, whatever it is. Cool. I have a room that's, you guys are what you guys pay for one room. I can actually supply 3 beds for that same exact price. Like, who would not want to do that? So again, it's like, how am I actually able to provide a service to these people that are actually coming through? And Craigslist has been around since the freaking, when was Craigslist created? I don't know, but it's still a thing. Like people still use it. And again, it's that old school mentality. Where do I go to find the people that actually I'm able to serve? Like that's a good spot right there. Like don't be afraid to get on there. Partnerships. I want to make sure I deep dive into this, right? We're going over the 3 things that are most important, the 3 buckets of lead sources, which again is inbound, outbound, and the final one is done. Do you remember what that one is?
Partnerships.
Partnerships. So this is what I love about this with the partnerships, you guys. This is the long game. And it's a long game that continues and it keeps to pay you back. So you're building relationships with hospital staffing coordinators, you're building relationships with other people in your market, you're building relationships with corporate relocation specialists, you're building relationships with people in your own markets, you're going to real estate meetups, you're continuing to connect with certain people in your certain markets. That's what actually is the most important piece of this puzzle. Like you're actually creating relationships that are partnerships that you can take with you to other places. And I've talked about this before, and I'll continue to say it and scream it from rooftops that we're not in a competitive nature that we're competing with one another. Our actual real competitor are the large scale hotels like the Blackstone owned extended stay Americas, who actually house a majority of these tenant travelers that are actually coming to stay that who we can actually serve at a much higher way than these corporate companies. So I think it's important to make sure that we're actually connecting with each other because there's going to be a time, especially if you only have 1 or 2 properties or 3, maybe even, that you want to connect with a network because your properties will be booked. And I guarantee every single one of you will come to a point where your property's booked. If you have one, you know what's going to happen and you're going to get these referrals. And if I can't do anything with that referral, I'm continuing to lose on my business. And that's why these relationships are way more important because as you start to build relationships, especially people that are doing what we're talking about right now, where they're doing outbound calls, they're doing the inbound thing, they're looking for referrals, they're looking for housing for other people, their properties are going to be booked too. And that's where we get to rely on these partnerships that we already built with these other folks that are in our specific spaces. That right there is so, so important. Don, what's your thoughts on that? Don, I think you're muted, bro. This guy owes his pizza for that. He's just
Yeah,
muted.
don't. I'll just use the literally dollar collected to my beats. Yeah. So what was the question again? ADHD kicked in. Sorry.
I was talking about how, damn, I don't even remember myself. Well, I think both of us have ADHD. We're just like already forgetting about this entire question. I think
Right
that's a
here,
good,
I remember now. Relationships and
yeah, that's what it was.
partnerships. Like too many, and I was like this 100%, guys, like for sure. And sometimes like I get into this like in different departments, where I'm in my journey. um Relationships is super key, and thinking transactional, just that one thing, you're asking yourself to work forever, right? We're not planting the right seeds. So relationship based versus transactional based is the secret code. That's like the secret recipe right there. We can't just think about today. We got to think tomorrow, next year, and position yourself in that nurture, right? How can I nurture this relationship, this company, right? So I'm always in out of sight, out of mind, right? So I want to be in front of their line of sight at all times.
Yeah, 100%. And again, you guys, the people that are in your market are not competitors. They are, especially if you're doing this at this level, like how we talk about by going after companies. Most people are doing the first bucket, the inbound. They're just waiting for somebody to book their property because they have it listed on Airbnb. They got it listed on Furnished Finder or whatnot. They're just waiting for somebody to come in and be like, "Hey, dude, is your place available?" And then it's going to happen. Yes, you'll get your place booked like that. Is it how you build the business? Absolutely not. You're just listing on a big giant marketing platform waiting to get booked. Like that's not how to build a business. So if you want to be around in 5 or 10 years, that's absolutely not the thing you want to do, right? You want to be very thoughtful on it. So incredibly important to network with one another in the space. That's why Dunn and I do these things so we can get people together. In fact, we just had a summit where there was like 500 people there that were networking and connecting and thinking about building their businesses in a completely different way, which again I think is so important. So partnerships are going to be extremely important. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story about how I actually got a lead recently. This is a recent win that I just got. And Dunn, I think I might have told you this story before. I actually had a gentleman they came from you were on the phone with me, dude, when this happened. The guy from Florida that had he's working at the Walmart, the super
Oh
Walmart
yeah.
here in Stockton. So you guys, I got a booking on Airbnb. And this guy booked for anytime anybody stays for more than 3 days at a time on Airbnb, we ask, like, what's the nature of your visit? How long are you here for? Do you mind telling us a little bit about your stay? Like, are you working for a company? Are you on assignment? And when they say yes, that they're actually on assignment, we talk exactly about what I just said. Well, just so you know, we actually we do corporate housing. We provide services for companies that are traveling all over the US. I would love to connect with you a bit deeper if this is something that you're going to talk about, you know, or if this is something you're interested in. Sometimes you'll have somebody that says, "Yes, I work for AMN or ABC company, and we're based out of Florida." I will go online, and after I get those notes, my team will send me a note and basically say, "Hey, Jess, we got somebody that's on this," or they will send a note to somebody on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, we just connected with so and so." So I got a guy stayed for 3 days at a mid or at a short term rental because they were literally flew here from Florida. They were working at Stockton Walmart Supercenter that was being built. We sent the note to the guy. I ended up connecting with him on LinkedIn. He called me, and Dunn was on the phone with me when this happened. And the guy was like, "Hey, man, we were only here for a couple days. We couldn't find a 30-day stay. We've been looking around. We're actually going to be on assignment at this new super Walmart that's being built in Lathrop, California, which is right next to Stockton, and it hasn't even been built yet. These engineers are coming from Poland, and we want to see if we can actually stay at your property for a longer duration. Is this possible for us to do?" And I was like, "Yes, here's the property that I have right now. It's 8 miles away from this place. We have 5 other properties that are nearby." Just by that one conversation, by me asking questions, I ended up making $360,000 because he booked 6 of my properties that I actually own at $6,500 each for 9 months. $6,500 times nine. Who's good at math? Please do that. Please help me figure that out.
Beep boop beep boop.
Don, you good at that?
No.
Beep boop, beep boop, boop. No beep boops. Okay, I get. If somebody's good at math, maybe just drop that in there. I'm pretty sure that's that's you guys. That's some crazy
Yeah.
amount of cash that comes through. And even if my mortgages are half that, that's still over 100 something grand that I'm making from literally a message that I sent to somebody on a freaking inbound call,
Mhm.
an inbound booking. And my goal was very intentional about how I'm actually pulling them away from that platform and how I'm actually building a relationship with them. So, you guys, that's freaking incredibly important to know about. Yeah. So, Andrea just put it on here $58,000. That's a month that's coming through on the platform. $58,000. Now, you do that times nine because it's 9 months with the ability to extend for 18 months, you guys. With the ability to extend for 18 months.
And with the
That is
biggest ability to be best friends with them, because in the future, other markets, your other properties, it's crazy.
That's right there where I was going to go to next, you guys. It's not necessarily about getting my own properties booked. It's about the next places they go. So Tanisha's on this call right now. If they end up going to Virginia next, because we're building another super Walmart in Virginia, these engineers are heading there. Guess what? I have social proof they actually pay their bills on time. I know Tanisha's out there, and I just told you guys I'm making $6,500 from 3 bedroom, 2 baths that are within a 20-mile radius of where they're actually doing the job. I know for a fact Tanisha probably has property in Virginia somewhere out there that's probably near the job site. And guess what I'm going to ask for when I send those to Tanisha? I'm obviously going to be taking care of the company. I'm going to follow them to the next assignment. I'm going to reach out to people that are in that market. Tanisha's somebody who's in our community, who's active, who's a really well known person. She's going to want to know who I'm working with. She's going to want to know that they're through and through and checked. They're vetted. Of course they are, because I've already had them for the last 9 months. And she's going to have property. I guarantee you she's going to be able to give me 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% of whatever revenue is going to come through over the next 3 to 6, 9, 12 months, because now she's getting her properties booked too. I think you guys need to make sure that you're aware of that, because I'm now serving my community. But once those people head off to the next community that they're going to, we're building a referral source that is going to be able to support us in those spaces. That's why we're collectively coming together. And that's what you guys need to understand from day one, that this is a collective space and not necessarily like a just you. In fact, you can't just do it by yourself. Like, that's the reality of this. Right, Don?
Nope, absolutely not. Unless you want to drive yourself crazy, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, you guys, just that's basically $60,000 a month for the next 9 months guaranteed, by literally just having a conversation. And again, you guys, this is being extremely intentional about the clients that we're getting as a short-term guest. It was just asking questions. Dunn, you said this a minute ago. You've said this before many times. Your life is determined by the quality of questions that you ask. Isn't that true? Isn't that the
That's
saying?
Tony. Yeah, Tony
Tony
Robbins said that. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Robbins says that, and it's incredibly true, because if you're willing to ask the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. You're going to be able to build to them. You're going to be able to create something for it. You're being of service to other people. Again, going back to what we talked about
Yep.
from the very get-go, this is the entire purpose of creating, these calls. And I'm going to give you guys some call to action today, and hopefully this is something that we can, talk about a little bit deeper today on this conversation. We've been here for the last, well, how long have we been here, Done 45, 40 minutes.
Yep.
Pick one thing from today, just one thing, and before the day ends, do the one thing that we talked about today. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the one thing out of this entire 40 minutes that we had a conversation. It could be sending notes on a Facebook group. It could literally just be something simple, just asking questions. But pick one thing from today, just one, and before the day ends, do it. And then do it again tomorrow, on Tuesday. Do it again on Wednesday. Do it again on Thursday. And you do that every single day for the next 30 days. I guarantee you'll start a business before you even realize you're starting a business, just by doing that. Don, what's your thoughts, man?
I think that's it, man. That's like the most simplest steps that someone could follow, especially if you're new. Be forgiving as you're doing this to yourself. Because if this is something you've never done, there's going to be some parts where you're going to feel really uncomfortable. It's normal. You're learning the skill.
Yeah, 100%. You're learning how to do things. You're learning how to operate. You're understanding this business at a higher level. And again, it's like you gotta do stuff that you're not necessarily all the way. You don't necessarily know the answers to already. We have a community of people that will literally answer those questions for you. In the free
Yep.
Facebook group, and obviously in our private community. But I think that's one of the biggest things, you guys, is being a part of a community that actually supports what you're doing, how you're operating, and the ways you're doing it, and the ways that you aren't able to show up, other people are. And man, that's one of my favorite things about being able to be in communities like this one here, that's free, that doesn't cost anything. That you just show up, and you might be good at phone calls, and somebody might be good at sourcing deals, and somebody else might be good at finding the companies, and you just link up. Like, that's the whole freaking goal, is doing that exact same thing right there. And I think a lot of the times we get stuck in the we need to do it all, and the reality is you actually don't. um, and again, today was just lead generation. We were simplifying that as much as we potentially could. There's 3 buckets. Remember, we talked about that today. The 3 buckets of the lead source framework. That's inbound, it's outbound, and it's partnerships. Those are the 3 lead source buckets that you should be focusing on. They're all important, and you got to layer all 3 of them. You really do. Don, any last thoughts? Any final questions to yourself? Anything that we can? What's your takeaway from this conversation today, Don? What about that?
Ask better questions, I would say. Learn how to ask better questions. I've had to do that. I'm still learning how to do that. And being around people, not watching, going over other people's posts, and you could see like a lot of the question that they ask. I'm like, whoa, I should have, like, you can't think of everything. You really can't. So if you don't know what to ask, Just educate yourself. Go on the free Facebook group. You can even plug it in, and I'm sure someone has asked a similar question to yours that might just 2.0 what you're really trying to find.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys are really stuck and you're just like, man, I want to build this business, I want to create something, I want to actually build a business and I want to be supported by people that are actually doing the thing that they say they're going to do, head over to therealjessevasquez.com, apply to join our community. This is something that we do. Dunn is actually a teacher, a coach in our program. You guys, we do this because we want to help you build stuff. We know how successful you could be if you put your mind and energy to it. I join programs. I'm part of a community that does a lot of different stuff, and I want to be because I believe one of the there's a couple things that are non-negotiable for me. And one of them right now is my health. I'm getting my health in order, and the other one is education. Like I am continuing to invest in myself, and that's by joining masterminds, joining other communities, learning and understanding other things. I am a student of continuing to always learn, and I have an endless budget for that. I mean, I guess I do have an endless. I don't have an endless budget, but I will continue to like put money into those things because I know that the results that I'll get when I actually do what I say I'm going to do is massively bigger than how much it costs for me to get in. So I'm encouraging you guys to really focus on that as we're moving into. I mean, we're 6 months in the year already. We're halfway through this year. So you got to really be thoughtful on like what am I actually doing? Am I being intentional about it? How am I creating? What's the opportunity I'm putting in front of myself? Am I continuing to do something that doesn't actually bring me um, the momentum and the things that I need? Those are things to think about. Are you actually doing what you say you're going to be doing? Do you need to have accountability? Like those are all really important things. And again, you need to. This is like a self development kind of understanding yourself. And I think there's a lot of potential in understanding yourself. And sometimes being in these groups like really starts to allow you to see things from a different light in a lot of ways, right? Done.
100%.
Yeah, guys. So cool. Any final thoughts then before we get out of here? Any things that we should talk about? I think we just kind of talked about a few things, but talk about lead gen, all that other good stuff.
Lead gen, just start calling, start asking those questions. You're not going to get the questions right. Remember, be forgiving to yourself. Leverage the outside tools. Craigslist, that's crazy. I think I'm going to start doing Craigslist, Jesse. that's
Yeah,
that's
dude. Give it
that's
a
a good
shot, man.
idea. Yeah, but Google, zoom out of that Google Earth, Google Maps, look at little businesses around your market. Start creating
Yeah.
your target list. So
Yeah.
hopefully next week when we're back on midterm Monday, someone that joined us today can give us some feedback on their action taking.
Yeah.
I'll
We
look
actually
for.
we got before we get out of here, there's a couple things that just came through. I just put it in the screen right now. Done. Check this out. Priscilla, what's up, Priscilla? She says there's a new business park being built down the street from me, Costco, movie theaters, car wash, etc. Amazing. Like you guys, everybody has these that are happening right now in their markets. I guarantee you those workers are staying somewhere. They're not all
Yep,
local. They're not. In fact, 9 out of 10
yep,
times they're not local at all. So go by there, creep out, take a picture of the freaking work trucks that are out there. Look and see if there's different plates from different areas.
yep.
Walk on the job site and ask, where are you guys staying? Put a hard hat on if you need to. Like that's one of our students, Christine, who you guys know, literally did that and created a $1 million business in a year doing that. So there's ways to do it. Again, what are you willing to put yourself through? What are you willing to do for other people? How much service are you actually able to provide? Most people aren't going to walk on a no job site because they feel like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't want to look stupid. Then you don't actually really want to build a business. So again, you got to think about those kinds of things completely. Um, Here's another question. Don, you maybe want to answer this. This is from Shona. What's up, Shona? How are you vetting corporate clients if they book direct?
Background check.
Mhm.
Background check. You can. I just learned this recently from you. Actually, you could look up their EIN as well, the company EIN.
Yeah,
Um,
that's anytime you guys are working with any corporate companies, go on there. If they're based in Florida, go on there, just type in EIN number, Florida companies, and you can actually search these. It'll show you when they were put together, if they're still valid, if they have business licenses. Like you can look all that stuff up. Obviously, go on LinkedIn and see what's going on there. One of the things that I love about this space is that we get to piggyback off each other. So you'll see this actually in our free Facebook. Somebody will write, "Has anybody heard of
yep.
Dun Villas or whatever it is, DRV Villas? Like, has anybody heard of that?" And you'll hear other people saying, "Yeah, I have. I worked with them." Like, we're actually that's vetting. Like, that's
Mhm.
exactly what vetting is. So make sure that you guys are doing that. Like, pay attention to what's actually happening. See what's happening in the Facebook group. See how people are asking questions. But that is 100% how vetting goes. We do that. I talk to these companies myself. We do background checks. We will do EIN number checks. We'll do all that stuff. I think it's really, really important. And again, if they're the corporate if they're going to be the corporate lease, you have to make sure you're doing background checks on the companies that are actually staying in your property. So very, very thoughtful. So awesome, you guys. Went into a lot of detail today. Appreciate you. And we hope again that you're able to share this with somebody else that is building a business, or that you want to actually tell them how to, learn how to build this business. This is what we do here, you guys. And the more people that you share this with, the better it is. I actually have a podcast too called the JV Pod. Make sure to check that out. I talk about midterm rentals, entrepreneurship, mindset, growth, all that other good stuff on a regular basis. But appreciate you guys. We're jamming out for the night. We appreciate you. Hope you're staying safe out there. We'll see everybody that joined in today. We so appreciate you guys for showing up. Tanisha, we're going to have to get you on here. I'm going to send
you. She's driving. She was trying to get in. I was like, no, wait, you're driving. Don't try to mess with it while you're driving.
Yeah, I'm going to put a note in our private group. Tanisha, I want to get you on here. You would be really freaking awesome to connect with on here. So we'll get you guys on here and connect, and you guys can hear stories from other people that are doing the damn thing on a regular basis. So get out there, make stuff happen. I almost cussed and I didn't. And don't say literally, you guys, especially as much as I do. Okay. Just do yourself that favor. Done. I owe you $7. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys next week on Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye, y'all.
Peace.